We are now in lesson 6, divide whole numbers by fractions. You can follow along with me on page 306. We are going to do letters B and C. In these directions, it asks us to find the reciprocal of each number. Hopefully you all remember how to find a reciprocal. So if I'm looking at 1/3, the reciprocal is when we simply flip it. So really, the reciprocal to 1/3 is going to be 3/1. Remember, we can also simplify 3/1 to just being 3. Same with 11. We want to find the reciprocal. So remember, whenever we have a whole number, we need to make it a fraction. So that's the same as saying 11/1. Well, when we flipped that, we would have 1/11. And that's how we find those reciprocals. Your code color for this lesson is orange. So let's look at some examples. This is on page 307, letter E. Whenever we divide fractions, we are actually multiplying by the reciprocal. So what that means is if we have 5 divided by 2/3, we really have 5 times the reciprocal of 2/3. And we just learned the reciprocal means we need to flip it. So it's really 3/2. Now we know how to multiply a whole number by a fraction, so let's do that. Remember, we need to turn the 5 into a fraction, and to do that, we simply put it over 1. Look to see if we can simplify. We can't simplify any of these, so we're going to simply multiply across. 5 times 3 is 15, and 1 times 2 is 2. Now, we have an improper fraction. It needs to be in a mixed number. So I'm going to put my 15 on the inside because the top number always goes on the inside, and my 2 on the outside. 2 can go into 15 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. So I'm going to subtract that. 15 minus 14 is 1. So I'm left with 7 1/2 as my answer. This is letter F on page 307. So same thing. We can't divide. We need to multiply by the reciprocal. So we need to rewrite this. It's going to be 4 times the reciprocal of 3/4, which is 4/3. Now when we multiply a whole number by a fraction, we need to make that whole number into a fraction. So we simply put the 4/1. And now we can multiply. Well, first, can we simplify? And we can't. Remember, we can't simplify on the tops. It needs to be up and down or diagonally. So we need to now just simply multiply. 4 times 4 is 16, and 1 times 3 is 3. So I'm left with 16/3. My last step is to make this into a mixed number. So 16 goes on the inside, and 3 goes on the outside. 3 can go into 16 5 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract that from 16, I'm left with 1. And my answer is going to be 5 1/3.